And that's where the first sacrifice started. Do you want to oppose KANU from within, or do you want to force KANU from without? If you want to oppose KANU from without, then you must go and seek a fresh mandate from the people. From the number 97, those who are valiant enough to face KANU from without reduced to 27. And they went to seek fresh mandate from the people. Of those 27 who went to seek fresh mandate, I would say 19 were rigged out. I think 18 were rigged out, only 9 went to parliament as members of KPU. So in order to resist the departure from the original vision, you can see the kind of sacrifice that were made, and people were great enough and strong enough to stand with the vision. Isitoshe, when they went to parliament as KPU against KANU, they were a formidable parliamentary group. They were a formidable opposition. Later on, when we were in the 90s, when Ford Kenya, and we were only about 32 or 35, Captain? 31. We were a formidable opposition. And you can see, it doesn't matter how many of you are there. It's how determined you are, and with that kind of leadership. V.I. Lenin once said, better fewer, but better. Better fewer, but better. Lots of people in this audience will remember how multi-party came about. And you might have come across a face called the Young Turks. In fact, that lady was saying to us, Angela, you people look great in those photos. You are more handsome. And I reminded her, that's not very fair. We are still handsome. So Young Turks were Paul Mwite. Then we were all together with Raila Odinga, Itobe Manyara, James Orengo, Joe Ager, Muhisa Kitui, and myself. And what brought us at Young Turks was that we felt, as when our leaders were demobilized, Oginga Odinga and the others, that we really needed to rise up, as Sifuna has said, to the occasion and defend the vision. I remember when I was teaching at the university in 1977, that's where I first was there as a full-time lecturer. I'd been there briefly in 71 as a special lecturer. I heard of Raila Odinga. I had not met him very formally. The person I'd met in the Odinga family was Jaramogi himself and Uburu. We were doing things separately. Finally, when we came together, is when Edgar Tekere was here. Raila tells this story in detail, The Flames of Freedom, and I urge you to read that book. When you have time, and if you really want to get into the deepness of things. Well, we had other old Turks, really old, but they were Turks. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Masinde Muliro, George Mthenge, Salim Bamaris, Philip Gashoka, who was standing in for Matiba, and we were a formidable team. Martin Shikuku. We worked very well. And our efforts finally brought multi-party politics in this country. And Raila has told this in detail in that book, Flames of Freedom. The good thing with this book, as the Prof said and the others have said, is that it condenses it in a language you can understand, in a time frame you can afford. I urge you. In fact, I'm going to appeal to Mountain publishers to behave like Progress publishers. Let us all be encouraged to write a series of books like this, accessible to people, readable, and educative politically. But let me wind the story forward. Lots of us who have been in the struggle, they have ties that bind us. There are ties that bind me, George Onini, ties that bind us with Kalonzo Musyoka, ties that bind us with Maswali, whatever. What is interesting, I must accept this, it's like a sinew which finally finds a knot. Raila Odinga is like that knot. We have grown up together, we were family, friends, comrades, but somehow he has emerged as a node that puts together this sinew of struggle through tremendous sacrifice, persistence, and dedication. And let me tell you something about Raila, who I've known because we've been together for so long, is that he accepts that there are problems and differences in politics. But finally we have to sit down and discuss them and find solutions. And that shows the sign of a man who is very humble. I give you two examples. Again, I'm going to and fro. I don't know whether Raila remembers this. In 2001, going on 2002, he had been in NDP, they joined KANU, for one good reason, that they believed they could transform KANU from within and take this country a step forward. I was in the SDP and finally we went to Kenya Democratic something. I can't now remember. But anyway, we were with Kibaki, Wamalo and all these people. We were all questing for a union. Then one day we sat together at the mall having lunch when I was a Minister for Energy. And he said, you know, you people, you must understand you have one cause. Let us talk to your colleagues. And we started talking. Then one day, Farah Malim and I were charged to go and talk with him, to go and talk to one politician. I won't mention his name because I don't want to embarrass him. And we went to talk to him. We talked and talked. And then I went to report to Raila and said, you know, we have talked to that fellow, but he says that he has worked with the Kikuyu before, but they have betrayed him. Raila laughed and asked me, who has not betrayed who in politics? Remember that question, who has not betrayed who in politics? What we want is unity to remove an authoritarian presidential regime from power, which is a hindrance to democracy in this country. That is the major point. And that's the point around which we must make tremendous sacrifices. The word sacrifice again. So, we are today launching a book of somebody some of you may not know very well, and somebody who we need to know very well because he's going to become our president. I'm a civil. Don't you believe that? Makofi kwangu basi. This team here, NASA leaders, Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, the vice president, the deputy president, that is what he's going to be. And the team around him, these are going to be the most powerful men in this country with the support of the Kenyan people who vote for change in state power. And I think that was a prophet saying. But there's a reason why they are rising to get state power. That reason is what is condensed in this book. This power is not power for power's sake. This power is response to the tremendous sacrifices Raila Amolo Odinga has made through this journey as the node around which the sinews of change have historically been weaving around. And that is how history works. There was a book I once read called Individuals in History. How do certain individuals rise in history to play major roles? Others rise through very dubious means, as you heard that young lady say. They are not that great either. But those who make change, fundamental change in society, rise as a result of long-term vision, pushed by sacrifice and dedication, working with others and realize that times changes, and when times change, you also have to change accordingly. Bishop Augustine of Hippo, this is the last thing I'm saying about Raila. Bishop Augustine of Hippo once said that the most important in life is sometimes to think, to stop for a moment and think that you may not be right. One of us said, think in life is that a time comes when you must stop for a moment and think that you may not be right. I would say maybe this is something that I share with Raila, but this is greatest in him, because when you sit down in meetings and the very controversial being made, he will listen. He will not say that I disagree with that point, but he will say, let us review that point again. Where is it taking us? Let us think for a moment that we may be wrong. Let us stop for a moment and think for a moment that we may be wrong. That's very important. Chairman Mao once went further, actually. Let us not forget Chairman Mao. He said, if you want to speak, remember one thing. Let me underline this. If you want to speak, remember one thing. No investigation, no right to speak. This book is a result of investigation, thinking, and going through history, so that in the final analysis, we may educate the public about what we are going to do. What we are going to do on the 8th of August, by going through this book, has been arrived at as somebody who quite often has stopped for a moment and realized that he may not be wrong, right? That he might be wrong. And as such, through investigation, through painful reading, sometimes waking up at 4 in the morning, and then he's fresh during the day to go to rallies, that's a sacrifice. I will tell you, our families sometimes don't like it that much. Agnes is looking at me and he knows why. Agnes, I must see you. Yeah. So that is another sacrifice. So don't think that this has been an easy thing. It's through the life of a man that through history has become a node around which our seniors of struggle have been woven. And a man finally, after such a long struggle, all of us are happy. I want us to be happy that on 8th of August, Kenyan will make the right decision and put a man in the presidency with this deputy who have, through the ages, sacrificed for what is going to happen on the 8th. And the 8th of August is going to become to me like December 2002, when we ushered in the NAC government. But this time, fortunately, this time, we are not going to get somebody in power who does not believe in devolution. This time, we have got somebody in power who is determined that our constitution should be even better to realize the Kenya we deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the President of the Republic of Kenya, 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. My comrade, my friend, my guide, my leader in the ODM, whom I've served as Secretary General for 10 years, the man I respect, the man I welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Amolo Odinga on stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. You may be seated. Peter has, I think, introduced me. But I want to thank Peter all the same. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very delighted to stand before you this evening. I see so many familiar faces in the audience who've come here today to witness the launching of this book. You can call it also a booklet. You can just call it Raila's little orange book, whatever. I want to first begin by thanking those who have spoken before me here, the young